What's good, party people? This is Voodoo in the Woods, and we have not the UFC Vegas 28 card. Oh no, because they flip mode squad us again, and now it's Rosenstrike versus Sakai. But without further ado, breaking down this auspicious card, 24 hours removed, is the one, the only, the great former UF MMA champion, Pius Inilalobo, better known as Voodoo Maximus.
Yeah, what's up, man? What's up, all day Woods? 8 a day Woods. 8 podcasts a day on average. The
It's
man is dedicated.
it's something up there, man. But getting people's story is what I like doing, and people sharing their stories with me. My heart kind of wells up inside, and I just want to do that. So hell yes.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, speaking of stories, there is a lot of stories that kind of unfolded over the course of the night. But we're getting done the first fight of the night. We had the none other than Claudio Puelles against Jordan Levitt. Jordan Levitt coming off of the Dana White Contender Series, his funky just funky everything, and he was going into this 8-0 after his proper UFC debut with his vicious slam. But Claudio figured out a way to thwart the Monkey King.
Mhm. Um, this one was. I don't want to be upset because jujitsu. I love jujitsu,
Yeah,
but this was a over glorified jujitsu match.
yeah.
Just a tad bit above combat jujitsu. That's all it was. It was nothing more than combat jujitsu on steroids because there was no punch thrown. They did not engage in the mixed martial artist way, and I wasn't really too interested. I mean, I appreciate the technical activities that was going on, right? But at the same time, it, whoever won this particular matchup didn't really matter to me.
Yeah, oh my god, that reminds me of the Janet Jackson song, right? Of the almost the same name. It doesn't really matter. But I'm in love with the inner being, and the inner being for both gentlemen probably bright, warm, and fuzzy. Jordan Levitt has a wife and kids, a fourth generation Las Vegan. You got kind of an eccentric personality, but uh, Mr. Pulido again kind of felt like he was stuck in the mud.
I, I don't know, man. I couldn't tell you what happened. It was almost like both gentlemen agreed. Hey, man, they probably met somewhere in the back and said, "Hey, man, I won't throw a punch at you if you won't throw one at me. Let's see whose jujitsu is better, man. Let's go. All right, man, we'll shake to that." That's what it seemed like. It was unbelievable. I couldn't believe what I was watching. I couldn't believe I was watching Eddie Bravo's combat jujitsu in the UFC.
Which is, I mean, maybe that was the precursor because Combat Jiu Jitsu is going down right now live on UFC Fight Pass from Mexico. So maybe that was a parlay. But I
Mhm.
mean, these fools didn't even do like the schoolyard kind of whatever. Hey, fool, want to go bodies? And for those who are uninitiated, right, is like if you had beef with this dude or not even that, you just wanted to impress the girl or your friends or what have you. You went bodies, right? You wanted to protect the face, but you just basically lit up somebody's midsection like a Christmas tree. But
Mhm.
that wasn't this. This was
No.
something completely different.
This one, we should just let it go, man. We're gonna let this one go, man.
Yep, like that girl from Frozen, man. Shout
Yeah.
out to Elsa. Let it go, let it go. So yeah, I mean that's what that was. Shaman Steve says, "Good evening, gentlemen. Good evening, Shaman Steve."
What's up,
Hell
Shaman?
yeah. Yes. So, going from that, whatever the hell that was, we had Sean Woodson against Yusuf Zalal. I actually picked Zalal to win this one. just kind of the nature of his last performances. And I know he was coming off a loss going into this,
Hmm.
but man, this was almost going to be like the tail of the tape of the next fight.
Hmm.
But they almost felt like they were in different weight classes.
Yeah.
And Sean Woodson figured out every bit of Yusuf Salal. I don't know
Hmm.
if it was just stylistically, game plan wise, that Sean Woodson had everything to thwart the best efforts of Zalal,
Hmm.
or it was just like I don't know, like I don't know what the hell it was, but I mean this was a good win for Woodson.
This one was very good for Wilson. Very, very indeed. Uh, he went in there and he utilized his reach. You know, he's a
Hmm.
very lean individual, long legs, long arms. He kept the fight at a distance for the majority of the fight. He utilized his ones and twos very effectively. His kicks, he threw kicks when he had to, but he mainly uses. He kept his hands busy. Now, when you have a Yusuf Zalal, his type of style can be nullified by extreme reach and excellent boxing, which is what
Yep.
we saw. And when the fight went to the ground, Sean Woodson was the one pressing the issue. He was the one that was more polished, and I can understand why he was given a split decision.
Yeah, 100%. And so again, if all things are not created equal, right? There might be situations where one's metabolism is just that much, higher than their opponent that they can cut weight, whatever. Their fight IQ might be eons higher than the rest of the division, but also physical attributes. And when you use them to your advantage, we see none other than John Jones, one of the, I mean, regardless of his personal whatever, one of the greatest of all time. I think it's pretty much like it's unanimous, right?
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
utilizing his reach.
Hmm.
The last time that we saw, and I think they were in the UFC at the same time, but you remember Kendall Grove?
Yes, I remember him.
So Kendall Grove, I think a lot of the reason why things went the way and he didn't like ascend to John Jones levels of competition. Now there's a lot of variables and whatever what makes a great athlete, what have
Hmm.
you, but why he didn't do better than what he did was his underutilization of his reach. He didn't do that.
Hmm.
Same Stefan Struve,
Hmm.
another great example of not using the reach and like literally towering over the UFC octagon and not really utilizing the reach. Like you could just teep kick the shit out of everyone. Like why? Why are you getting hit? Why is Mark Hunt getting in close to you to fucking mollywop you? You should
Hmm.
just fucking teep kick the shit out of her, teep him out of the fucking cage, right?
Hmm.
But here we go. That was John Jones, light heavy, and soon to be heavyweight, depending on how it all shakes out,
Hmm.
and Stefan Struve,
Hmm.
heavyweight, right?
Hmm.
Woodson, like considerably less weight
Hmm.
than either of these, and he figured out a way to use his reach against them. So, man, I am excited to see. I'm excited to see what Zalal will do after this, but
Hmm.
I'm also excited. Like, I think Zalal kind of had a more name recognition, a tad bit more,
Hmm.
right, than Woodson going into this.
Right.
And Woodson, this is a great like you know, career defining,
Hmm.
like where were you when, right?
Hmm.
Like, Conor McGregor's first fight,
Hmm.
John Jones stepping in for Rashad,
Hmm.
like these seminal moments, right? And I don't, you know, could he be great? Absolutely. Could he be kind of run of mill? I
Hmm.
mean, you never know, but
Yes.
I am excited, right? In the guise of entertainment, right? You
Hmm.
leave the audience wanting more. Well,
Yes.
guess what? Sean Woodson left me wanting more. I want to see more of Sean Woodson going forward.
Yes.
I'm totally into this guy. I don't think, he's gotten that kind of echelon with me. I don't know if I could ever, you know, pick against him because his fight IQ and his utilization of his God given gifts
Hmm. Hmm.
and applied it to MMA with a solid game plan, coaching, and what have you. This
Hmm.
was just superb. It's a split decision because the Lau wasn't. It wasn't like when you're playing one of those fighting games and you play the second player
Hmm.
just to get that, the second player's ass
Hmm.
whooped and shit like that, so you can beat the shit out of him. That
Hmm.
wasn't that.
Hmm.
Zalal fought back, but
Yeah,
Sean Woodson just bettered him in every inch of
that's right.
the fight. So
That's right. Zalal is an excellent striker.
yes, he
His,
is.
his wrestling is okay. It's not bad.
Yeah.
For the type of striker he is, his wrestling is adequate. But then his jiu-jitsu is not where adequate should be for the type of striker he is. So this is where he fell short. But he didn't get finished. It could have gone either way. But the fight did go to the rightful winner.
Yeah, no, 100%, 100%. So big win for Woodson, right? But man, this one, you remember how I said, how they almost seemed like they're in two different weight class. Well,
Hmm.
guess what? We got that in the last one. Manon Ferro
Hmm.
against the debuting Tabitha Ricci.
Hmm.
Ricci basically riding a 5-fight undefeated streak up until this, took a 6-year sabbatical from MMA, and basically, or she had 2 wins, in the in LFA. So it
Hmm.
was a very big kind of showing out party, but they look Manon was so much bigger. When we think about it, I was at a friend's house, right? And Manon, right, to be a flyweight, she's probably walking around closer to bantamweight, if not
Hmm.
featherweight,
Hmm.
right? And
Hmm.
then cutting down to 125, right?
Hmm.
Then you have, Tabitha Ricci, who is naturally all of her fights have been at strawweight,
Hmm.
15 pounds less.
Hmm.
She steps in on a week's notice,
Hmm.
right, to go and fight Manon, who
Hmm.
is, man, she's a juggernaut.
Hmm.
I can't wait to see what's going to happen with Manon, right? Very promising, almost, in terms of like France's kind of export into, MMA. Obviously, we have, God, what am I? Big dark dude. God,
From where?
France. He's
Oh,
in Bellator.
yeah, Czech Congo.
Czech Congo. So we
Hmm.
got Czech Congo, we got Siragan, right? And we've got Manon Furo, right? It's kind of crazy for a country that just in the last year or so, right before COVID,
Hmm.
they basically lifted the ban on MMA. You couldn't even train MMA. You could do savate, you could do judo, you could do jiu-jitsu, whatever, but you couldn't mix it all together, right?
Hmm.
But Czech Congo, I don't know where what his status is or whatever, but Cyril Gane and Manon Furo,
Hmm.
like what we're talking about, like the African kind of revolution with Francis and Usman and Adesanya, we
Hmm.
could be saying in the same thing in about a year or two time about the French.
Hmm. Yes, yes, yes. Um, I've called the French out a few times about their grappling or whatnot, but they steady continue to shut me up and tell me, you know what, we do have adequate grappling in France. France. So
France.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Even though Manon was an extremely large individual in comparison to her opponent Richie, uh, her tactic was adequate. It would have been a formidable match even if they were of the same size. But that size did matter. Richie, tough individual, very impressed with the performance. Even though she lost on her feet, and there's something admirable about that. She went toe to toe with a giant, David versus Goliath,
Yes.
and she stood to talk about it. You know what I mean? She wasn't put to sleep. She was on her feet. Yeah, the referee got involved, as the referee should. There was a significant advantage going to the opponent in Manon Kanan. Uh, it is what it is. Richie, when given time to prepare for someone in her weight class,
Yeah.
from this performance, I guarantee you they will give her another match in the UFC just because she's so tough. Not only is she tough, she was scoring. She was hitting back. She was getting her piece in too. It just so happens that the Terminator that was in front of her was overwhelming, you know. But she fights and she fights to win. So I look forward to seeing Richie again in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. And you talked about, getting a adequate fight camp as well as, somebody at her weight class. Ricci has already, shown what she could do in LFA, after 6 years sabbatical,
Hmm.
thereabouts,
Hmm.
and, re-debuting to a new audience in LFA, right?
Uh-huh.
The previous fights were all on the Brazilian regional scene,
Hmm.
and again, you're kind of coming out party after you're walking out of the cave, so to speak,
Hmm.
right? And you walk out of the cave on UFC Fight Pass in front of probably the largest international audience that you
Hmm.
could have competed in front of
Hmm.
in your entire career,
Hmm.
and you went 2-0 with, I believe, both finishes.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, she's really on her way. I like all the improvements that she's made in addition to her jujitsu. She's becoming very well balanced. What saved her was her movement. She was constantly moving lateral, forward and back. This is the future, folks. This is the future of martial arts. As you can see, Richie was able to go in there and show you what the possibilities are when you're in there against someone who is much larger than you. So shout out to you, Richie, man. I'm not a don't know her very well, but she's made an impression on me. Even in defeat, she made an impression that's imprinted on my mind. Now I'm gonna look more into her, and I know the future is bright. I can see it. I can see it based on that losing performance. Unbelievable how in the loss, she is even greater than if she would have won. It's amazing. I enjoy this particular match thoroughly.
No, absolutely. And it's cool because in terms, here's a cheap plug. But if you wanted to get a little bit more kind of intensified look at Ricci, there's an According to Woods podcast with Tabitha Ricci, and she's been on twice. She's been on twice. So after, I believe, before and after uh, the last two LFA fights. So definitely go ahead and check that out. There you go. Oh, it says we
Your
have no
voice
volume.
is oh, there
Hold
you
on.
go. Yeah, I hear you now. I
Yeah.
didn't hear you all that time. All that
Oh
stuff you were saying, I didn't hear it. There was
no,
no
it's saying
volume.
she's been on the According to Woods podcast. So check it out in the
Right.
archives.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
what's up. That's what's up.
Don
That's
McGuire
what's up.
says it looks like Mayweather and Logan Paul. I guess you and I guess. I mean, you might be paying for the illegally down. If you think we are Logan Paul and Floyd Mayweather, you might have the illegal stream. Is what I'm saying.
Hey. As long as there's millions and millions being made, I'm all for it.
Millions of dollars, millions of dollars, millions of dollars. And he said, Vita, thoughts on Habib's return on about against Gaethje?
What?
Wow, what?
Hey, that one right there, I will have to see it to believe it.
That's is that breaking news?
I will have to see it to believe it.
Oh man,
And why would he fight Gaethje?
because he already
I,
beat him.
Out of all the people he could fight, Usman is right there. That's the fight for you, Khabib.
Yeah,
You are the so-called undefeated, undisputed, undefeated this and that. Alhamdulillah. I'm all for that. But step to competition. Step to Usman. This is the challenge. You are 200 pounds, Khabib. 200 pounds. 200. So is Usman. Why are you killing yourself going all the way down to 155 when you can step up and step to the real challenge, your real weight class? Why don't you work for two belts? Double champ,
yeah,
Khabib. What's going on? Why are you challenging Gaethje, whom you've beaten down severely?
yeah,
You stopped him. You put him on crunches. Now you're telling me you're gonna come back and fight him again? If this is true, Khabib, you're wasting my time. Do not come back. If you're coming back for Justin Gaethje, how
yeah.
dare you? How
I,
dare you come back for Justin Gaethje if this is true? I do
I
not
agree.
believe it is true. I do not believe it is true. So, if that was the case, this is how I feel. But I do not believe it is true.
Shit, fight Oliveira, right?
Right?
Champ versus champ. Like that's. I mean, yeah, you know, there's dozens of fuck, Habib Tony. There's 3 fights, right? Habib Tony, right? And of course, this could get to the point of like Manny Pacquiao, Floyd Mayweather, where it's happened way past where it should have been, right? But you could do that, right? You could do Habib, the Chandler. You could do Habib, GSP. You could do Habib Oliveira. If you really whatever, you Habib, because you were the last chance champ, and you might only have one more left in you to
Mhm.
like pole vault in front of the other challengers, and do that. There's three things, like 3 matches. One is a pipe dream in the GSP one, right?
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
two legitimate. Like I would love Chandler and Habib, right? If you're gonna
Yes.
fight a wrestler, Chandler and Habib, that take my money, right? You want to
Mhm.
do Habib Oliveira,
Mhm.
and believe you me, right? I'm gonna take a page out of former middleweight champ Michael Bisping, playbook, and go, believe you me, there is nothing that Habib wants of Charles Oliveira,
Mhm.
100%.
Mhm. Hey, look, you are absolutely right in regards to the possible challenges for or challengers for Khabib. But ultimately, due to his high output and success, 29-0 or 30-0, whatever it is, he is bound by greatness to take on only the great, no one else
Hmm?
but belt holders. Belt
Okay.
holders. I mean, he is a victim of his own success. Seeing him fight anyone else will be unnecessary and stupid.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Chandler has lost, right? I don't want to
Yep.
see Chandler fight anymore. Not against Khabib. I don't want to see that. I already know what's gonna happen. It's not fun. Step in there against Khabib, not Khabib, Kamaru Usman. Kamaru, step in there with him. Step in there
He
against
don't want
Charles
no.
Oliveira.
He don't want no Kamaru.
Step in there against Charles Oliveira. These are the real fights for someone of your magnitude. He claims he is the greatest, right? Pound for pound. Pound for pound comes with a level. It only makes sense to fight other people on that level. Belt
Yep.
holders. Step in there and beat the belt holder and hold all the belts. Then we will see you as Conan the Destroyer from Dagestan. You know what I mean? Khabib the Destroyer.
Yeah. We'll
I'm tired of talking about it.
yeah.
I'm tired of talking about it because it is what it is. I'm tired of it.
Yeah. Don McGuire says Dana brought it up. Don't see it happening. I hope it does
Oh,
it. And he also said McGregor is retired. I don't know. What? I don't even.
I don't think this is a real website.
That's
You're
yeah, because there's in the books is him and Poirier. That's why Poirier forgoed his title shot, is because he wanted that second money fight with McGregor. Because why the fuck wouldn't you? You
yeah.
get to go to the fucking Scrooge McDuck Red Penny Night fucking vault,
Hmm.
not once but twice.
Hmm.
Fuck that! Sign me up.
Yeah.
I'll fight
Hey,
McGregor.
hey, we advised Dustin to do this a year ago.
A year ago, hundred
A
percent.
year ago, we advised him to make this move. Some 9 to 10 months later, you know what I mean? We already saw this. It only makes sense to go for that cheddar. It's about the cheddar right now, man. You've already seen the belt, man. You know what it is. We can always go back to the belt, but it's nothing like a man with his own money. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Don't when you're the champion, you're gonna have to wait for them to give you the money. But when the money is right there in front of you, you take that money. You know what I mean? And that's a Conor McGregor fight. You know what I mean? You got to jump on the opportunity when you are chosen. Conor chose Dustin, so Dustin better double up and make that money. Bet on yourself, Dustin. Put a couple of million on yourself, and you can retire.
There you go. Apparently, it came out of Dana's mouth. McGregor will take the year off. I'm not bringing bees. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Well, I
Hey,
mean,
look. Hey, that it sounds like a whole lot of money lost to me. You know what I mean? These
yeah, man.
people, these people are businessmen. You know, for McGregor to call timeout and say I want rest of the year off, something is up.
He got
Something is up.
he got the rest. He don't even need to fight again. So
Exactly, exactly.
the fuck. Yeah.
So
So
and if he is gonna fight, you damn better be sure that it's gonna be worth his while. You know what I
yep.
mean? We're talking multi million dollar contract here. one fight contract, and it's gonna be something to behold. I mean, this third fight is necessary. We need to know who is the better. We need to know. It seems Dustin was kind of lucky. That's what it seemed like. But he has an opportunity to step back in there the third time and let everyone know this wasn't a fluke. But Connor also has put his lights out. So who wants it more? I think Connor is a ego-driven fella. I think
Yeah.
he would take a pay cut so he can get that W. I mean, he doesn't need money, so he has no problem taking a pay cut and letting Dustin get a little bread. You know what I'm saying? It is
Yeah.
what it is. As long as he can go in there and get an opportunity to do what he does, which is knock folks out, and I think we see this match continue July whenever it is.
Right. And here's the thing about Uncle Dana, folks. This is also a gentleman who said, and I quote, "There won't be any women fighting in the UFC." We just got
That's
done.
true.
Yeah. So it only makes sense when it makes sense, or dollars and cents. So I'm just saying, So there's that. So again, big win for Manon Furo, right?
Yeah, yeah.
This one, the next fight, the Alan Patrick and Mason Jones fight, was probably one of the oddest things I'd ever seen, right? Because Alan Patrick, man, I, he looked like, I don't know if it was a bad weight cut or whatever. He looked like one of them characters from the animated movie of the '90s, Ants. His face was all sunken in, like by comparison to his Tapology picture. There was something up. He almost looked like Francisco Trinaldo, actually. Funny enough, but just more gaunt and sucked in, right? But there were times where I don't know what the flying fuck was going on with Alan Patrick. Like he bobbed and weaved into punches. At times he was fighting the air, and Mason Jones was getting all of that ass, like beating Alan Patrick like it was going out of style. Like he beat him like a fucking bell bottoms in 2020. And fucking what is it, ruffles and shit like that. Like that's you know, and then it ends in a eye poke, right? Now
Yeah.
first I was kind of like I was calling, Alan Patrick's bullshit just because of the absurdity of the way that the fight was going up until that point. But when they slowed it down, I mean, it was like Mason Jones was like literally set faces to stun. Just like, oh man, it was weird. It was
Turn
so
up your voice. Turn up your voice.
I am tuned up.
Oh, there you go. I can hear you now.
Okay.
There you go.
Yeah, so I don't know what the fuck. It was just odd. But it ends in a no contest, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Alan Patrick tries to go to Mason Jones, so they're like, "Yeah, man, good fight." Mason Jones wasn't having any of it. You fucked him out of a paycheck, right? Like, and of course, two wrongs don't make a right in the sense that Mason shouldn't have fucking eye gouged the shit out of Alan Patrick, but also Alan Patrick was getting his ass whooped.
Hey. I observe the same thing, man. The man, he utilized a recent loophole. There's been recent eye pokes, which has led to opportunities for, or not eye pokes per se, but fouls. Like we have the Pietri Yan fight, in which is Aljamain, got off on a technicality. There was another fight right after that. Someone else got off on a technicality. So now this has become the new thing. We see this phenomenon in soccer. We see it in basketball. You know, you watch some soccer players, man, and you barely touch them, and they flap. And this is and when they flap, and the referee sees that, they get an opportunity to kick a free kick or something of that nature. So now this phenomenon has crossed over into our beloved sport, our beloved mixed martial arts, and now you have real men, real warriors flopping. You know what I mean? It's really unfortunate. Um, from my experience, what I saw was the fella Alan Patrick. Alan Patrick, he was getting beat down, and he took an opportunity that was granted him, which is to claim eye poke so severe that he cannot continue. What it was he couldn't reestablish his cardiovascular prowess. That's what happened. He couldn't slow down his heart rate in a manner which would help him finish the fight. He was too deep in the ocean. He wasn't making it back, so he called for the life preserver, the what do you call those ocean folks that come and save you? Coast Guard. So
Lifeguard, yeah.
yeah, so he called on the Coast Guard to save him. That's all it was. That's all that was. And then there's a yeah, did he touch his eye? I don't know.
Yeah. No, 100%.
It
That
seemed like he was doing this, huh?
yeah, he might have been like Creed. He might have had his eyes wide open instead of arms wide open. He might have had his eyes like that, like the fucking lady from the Guinness Book of World Records that can pop her fucking eye out of her socket. Now, he might have been doing that. There was, but it was a legit eye poke
It
for
was a
sure.
legit iPhone.
It was a
Hey, but
legit eye poke, but that motherfucker was like this.
did you see him following like target practice?
Yeah, that shit was like old school duck hunt. And he was fucking missing. Oh shit. He reminded me. So there was a time, right, when I was in high school, the Dudley Boys, right? Dudley Boys, Buddy Holly, they had the fucking, the fucking the glasses, right? The wide rim, not wide rim, but the fucking black glasses with the tape in them, right? So my mom had the good insurance. She was working for the city of Inglewood or whatever. I purposely, because I saw not only a pair of those framed black rim glasses, but also they were made by Joe Boxer, which was the shit back then, right? Made by the brand Joe Boxer. So I purposely flunked the fucking eye test because I saw those on the fucking wall. And I was like, I want them, whatever the fuck. So I flunked it. That was almost like. I'm sorry, but Alan Patrick took a play out of my fucking playbook circa 2001 trying to get these fucking glasses.
Oh man, what a
And this
show!
and this is also not the Alan Patrick was that was the lead singer of Filter. He's not, awaken my airplane, I'm awaken my airplane, the skin is bare, the skin is theirs. That's not this guy. This is the Brazilian one. And he fucking uh, he's the Joaquin Noah of fouls, technical fouls and shit. It's just weird. Moving on, I guess we have the. Let's talk about eye pokes aplenty, right? Because in this fight with Kamuela Kirk and Makwan Amirkwani,
Uh-huh.
another eye poke. This is like the second of three consecutive matches that had extensive eye pokes. Um, but even still, Kamuela Kirk basically came away with the win. Um, the highlight for me was fucking Amirkwani, fucking German. Like he fucking did like a perfect flex, like Mr. Perfect flex to Kamuela Kirk. He just fucking slammed his ass. It was a sight to see. But even still, you know, uh, Kamuela Kirk, he takes the unanimous decision win right for his head.
Yes, yes, yes. I couldn't have said it any better than that. Camuela Kirk outgrinded him. He wanted it more. Period. So it is what it is. Congratulations to the young men.
No, 100%, 100%. So going to let's see who we got here. We have the next fight of Muslim Salikov, right,
Yep.
and Francisco Trinaldo,
Mhm.
and again we got a pretty prominent eye poke, but Muslim Salikov basically besting Francisco Trinaldo by unanimous decision. Trinaldo, I mean, he's been in the game for a while. He's, I think, what, 38, 42, something like that, but looks 168. He just looks old as shit. He, he looks like almost like Herschel Walker, but like a fucking bulkier, shorter version of Herschel Walker of the NFL.
Eh, your your sound. I think it's the cord. It keeps coming in and out. Yeah, yeah. So he's gonna take care of his the headphone real quick, and he'll probably be back in the next 10 seconds. Yeah, yeah. So this matches were quite interesting. Muslim Salikov, like he was just telling you, versus Francisco Trinaldo was a fight of 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 skill. Striking prowess was on display here. Both individuals seem to be of the same age, as you heard Adam Wood say. The man Muslim looked quite older, quite old looking. And Francisco himself was like what 42, 43. Adam,
Yeah,
yeah,
Muslim looked 80.
yeah.
He looked like he was 80.
Hey,
Muslim
but
Salikov.
hey, Muslim Salikov is slightly slicker with his striking, slightly slicker. His shots are precise. His kicks are snappy, which is perfect. He is a complete striker. I will give him that for this weight class that he's at. The way he moves, his wrestling is also very, very good, but he didn't really need it. And Francisco Trinaldo also wasn't really trying to go on to the ground anyway, and he brought the fight. He came to win. Trinaldo looked really, really good, but unfortunately for Trinaldo, his opponent was a polished striker, and this was the deciding factor in this particular match. Uh, they each had successful moments in which the opponent was rocked, but Muslim seem to have put together a better portfolio of striking and grappling and all of the above to take this victory. And I do not disagree with it.
No, no, 100%. This is a good win for Muslim. So
Hmm.
right on, right on. And now, actually, something that I dug, right? Earlier, Latifi at heavyweight. He
Hmm.
competed earlier in his career and earlier in his UFC run as I want to say light heavy, whatever he was.
Yeah, light heavyweight.
Right. But I like him at heavy. He might be, shorter than the usual fare, but he's a judo practitioner to the umpteenth degree, and he showed his prowess against Tanner Boser, who, looked pretty damn well in his kind of entry to the UFC. But Ilir Latifi, man, he's, I want to see him contend for the title at some point.
Yes, yes. He would definitely get his chance. Um, I don't know how I feel about this particular one actually. I'm a little torn. Did Latifi win his match? I I almost don't think he won this match, even though they give it to him. I believe Tanner Bozer did enough striking wise to have the victory. He was busy. He was for a heavyweight. People need to these judges that judge this particularly and give this one to Latifi because he was dominant on the ground for a little bit. Um, I kind of disagree with this one, and with all due respect, um, Tanner Bozer for a heavyweight to move as much as he did for 15 minutes, it's very difficult. People don't understand. Even little people, 155ers, they find it difficult to move continuously in a fight and still be effective with the offense. You know what I mean? He's working harder. You know, he is on that booster a little bit more than his opponent, and because he doesn't want to get hurt, of course. Yeah, is it his fault that he's doing that? Yeah, it's his fault, but at the same time, he did it, and it must be acknowledged that he did it. When his opponent took him to the ground, there was no damage. There was no damage done. Yeah, he laid on him, but there was no damage done. Tanner Boza was lighting him up, But I think there was a mistake here. It is a split decision, so I guess they can run it back.
Oh,
I
but
wouldn't mind seeing that again,
yeah, but they're
but it
so
ain't gonna happen.
yeah, they're so low on the rankings that doesn't even make sense. Like neither gentleman, with all due respect, aren't even in the top 10. So you know, like the prominence of unless their next opponents fall off and each of them are ready, then we're not getting this. And again, it's a zero sum game.
Mm.
So I wouldn't like it. But that is what it is. But
Hey, it is what it is. It is what it is. And it seemed Mr. Boza was pretty upset about the about the call. He was on Twitter saying that give me my last fight or something like that. Something to that effect. I don't know. I think he is upset
yeah,
and saying things that he can't take back be due to him being upset. But I'm willing to overlook this because you don't want to go against a machine when you have no foundation in the company. You can be easily replaced. They don't care. You know what I mean? And there's many, many more better than you that are trying to come in. So accept the loss, learn from it, and try and figure out what you can do uh, the next time this happens to you. It's already happened. You getting upset about it would change absolutely nothing. They would not go back and give you a second look and say, "Oh yeah, Bozer won." Then it's not gonna happen. It's already lost. Okay, so now you must think about the future. What can you do to improve the situation in the future? Okay, maybe you should try and figure out how to get back up on your feet. You know what I mean?
yeah, and it's funny to say because you look no further than Jimmy Flick, right?
Hmm.
Former LFA champion, and was on a tear, and flying too close to the sun and going like,
Get burned.
maybe, yeah, I don't like this anymore. It's not worth it to me anymore. I'm not
Hmm.
being a fucking, you know, big time UFC star with improved finances and all that jazz, and
Hmm.
you know, it didn't happen, and he's in the cannabis industry out in Oklahoma, which fuck man, good on you.
Hey,
That's why
hey,
what's his name fucking left.
if if it's legal, and the money's there, hey, go ahead and handle your business. You know what I mean? Hey, this is America, man. Get in where you fit in. If the opportunity is there and it's legal, go ahead and do your thing. Jimmy Flick, he was a good fighter. I enjoyed him watching him fight. He was wrestling dominant, but it was beautiful to watch. You know what I mean? It was beautiful to watch. I can overlook the wrestling dominance because wrestlers believe in being on top and smashing. You know what I mean? We will submit you if we have to, but the idea is to smash the opponent. So I like this style much much more than a jiu-jitsu base because the jiu-jitsu base is willing to accept his back on the ground. I love jiu-jitsu, don't get me wrong. I'm not dissing jiu-jitsu, please don't get me wrong, but I'm just saying my personal preference is that wrestling dominance with a little sprinkle of jiu-jitsu. You know what I mean? That's where it's at. And this fella, uh, what is it? Pickett. What's his name? Pickett.
Oh, Jimmy Flick.
Flick, Pickett, Pickett,
You,
Pickett.
as much as you love him, you forgot about him already. Jesus Christ.
Hey, that is the reality,
Yeah.
right? That is the reality. This is what happens. Hey, look, there's only so much room in my mind, right? So if I can clear up space somewhere and reinsert a new information, guess what? This is what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
So this is what I say all the time in regards to this. Oh, legacy. Hey man, forget this legacy nonsense. Stack your bread. You know what I mean? Get that money fight, stack your bread. And if legacy come later on, then so be it. But always make that bread first. Get that money first. Get that bag, as they say. Get that money, and then you could chase that legacy later. Money should be your priority. Secure your future. Legacy will not pay your rent in the future.
Yeah. So Voodoo must know that I might have just gotten a shipment of sourdough bread, and I
Oh.
stacked them together to yeah. So right on. I like stacking bread. Um, I might also wear a helmet, but yeah. Well, that's another story for another day. But we're gonna kind of burn through the next couple ones,
Yeah.
not for disrespect, just the times, the times. it's a sign of the times. But
Yeah.
actually, one of my picks for fight of the night was Montana De La Rosa and Ariane Lipski.
Yes.
I think this was a great matchup for both females. You know, Montana De La Rosa wearing her Pride colors during Pride Month on her
Mhm.
Venom fight kit. I thought that was an
Mhm.
amazing thing, and she just elbowed Ariane. Whoo, man, that's just bloody. It was just like a fucking elbow and just split Ariane, and Ariane was doing okay. She was doing all right. You know, I think
Yeah.
she might have instigated like the ground deal, but Montana just figured her out, and there was a lot more epic in her kind of usage of the ground position. But
Mhm.
yeah, KO ground and pound Montana De
Mhm.
La Rosa.
hmm
What you
This
think?
is this is the ferocity that wrestling brings to the table. This is why I love wrestling so much. Of course, there is an ultimate price to be paid for physically for wrestling for being outstanding at it. But so is jujitsu. You know what I mean? The greatest they talk of knee and back and this and that. You know what I mean? So it is a worthy sacrifice. I would sacrifice my body for wrestling anytime, you know. But the gifts that come with it, the perks that comes with it. This young lady, Rosa, was able to experience that because she went in there, utilized her wrestling, kept her opponent down, eventually acquired full mount, and the rest was history. The elbows were unforgiving. Ariana Lipski, so beautiful, scarred with at least 3 gashes on her face. You know what I mean? Referee had to step in there and save the day.
Mm-hmm.
Another one for the wrestler.
Yep. Like Mighty Mouse, here I am to save the day. That's exactly what the fuck happened.
hmm
Gregory Rodriguez, former LFA world champion in the 185-pound division. He
hmm
celebrates his win by what? 24 hours after he gets the call that he's going to the big show. I'm not
hmm
talking about Paul Wright. I'm talking about the UFC and making good on his, fight win streak and what have you, improving to 10-3 over Dusko Tudorovic.
hmm This one, I got to give a shout out to Gregor Rodriguez, former LFA champion. You know, he went in there, he did what he had to do, man. He made a move to Florida, and something has clicked in him. Something has clicked in him that didn't click in him when he was out here. So shout out to him, man, knowing what he needed and get into it to activate his beginning. Now he's in the UFC with a win against a formidable Dusko Todorovic. It was a very good, entertaining fight, and he won by unanimous decision. So he showed. He, the first time we saw him was on a contender series in which he was severely knocked out. I was very critical of him. And from that time, he won a title, and then he got another shot. And within 24 hours, like my man just said, and he got a unanimous decision victory, convinced all the judges that he is superior. This is what it's about. The man's dream is about to come true. He just has to maintain his winning ways, and the sky's the limit.
Yep, sky's the limit. Then we have Santiago Ponzinibbio
hmm
against Miguel Baeza. This one was the talk of the town, the toast of the town, because yes, this was a unanimous decision for Santiago, but I mean the exchange that both men threw, they literally threw everything and the kitchen sink at the very last stanza of the third round. Thoughts?
Yeah, this one was it was my fight of the night. I had to watch it twice. I wanted to understand what it was that Santiago Ponzinibbio did to pull himself out of this particular match victorious. I betted against him. He was coming back from an injury, multiple injury setback that lasted over a year. He came back. I believe he lost. Then he came back again against this young Miguel Baeza. Miguel Baeza undefeated until he ran into Santiago. Excellent fighter. Baeza is a complete striker. He 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 does enough kicks to qualify, He attacks high, medium, low, which is necessary, and his timing is impeccable. Now he went in there against Santiago, who is also as gifted, right? But he has something else that Baeza doesn't have, which is experience. And the experience got him through. He initiated his jab immediately, and the jab withstood the test of time. He was kicked many, many times on his calf, but he allowed his leg to regain its integrity. Even though it's badly damaged, he was able to regain the integrity. Maybe the leg went numb and then he didn't feel it anymore, but he was able to regain his bounce. And then the shots kept coming. He just kept raining shots in the second round. And then eventually he himself started throwing calf kicks.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Damaging his opponent in Miguel Baeza. It was a phenomenal match. They spoke of fight of the year candidate. I totally agree. These two young men got an extra $50,000. I wish it was an extra $500,000.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it was worthy. It was a worthy performance. And if anyone hasn't seen this, please go back and find this particular fight and absorb it. It's worthy of being called a mixed martial arts fight.
Yeah, no, 100%. Now, the unanimous decision goes to Roman Dolidze
Hmm.
over Laureano Starpoli, right? So
Hmm.
there's that. We're going to the co-main event of the evening: Marcin Tybura versus Walt Harris.
Hmm.
We kind of mentioned, unfortunately, the horrible tragedy of Walt Harris's, stepdaughter being murdered. And Walt Harris has not felt the same since.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know. I just feel bad here. Obviously, Marcin, knocking out Walt. I just, it doesn't feel. It was a big win for Marcin, but I think Walt needs some time to heal.
Excuse me. If you go back and you observe the way that Mr. Harris has lost his last 3 to 4 matches in a row, it's been the same reoccurring nightmare. He starts off hot. He's lighting folks up. Anyone he stepped in there with he has been able to outstrike them because this is what he does. But once they change levels, hit that double leg, take him to the ground, this is where he dies. You know what I mean? And the last 3 to 4 matches that he's fought, he has been unable to get back to his feet. And the lack of a ground game in the UFC at such high level will be your downfall. It's very easy for these folks to go in there and take him out now. They just have to withstand the shots that's coming, make sure they don't get hit in the head, shoot the double. He won't be able to stop them because he is not experienced in that aspect. Um, that's where he stays. And this is where he's lost. He hasn't been really stopped. He has been grappled and finished TKO on the ground. So, um, unfortunately, I don't know what else can be done for this young man. He has been given several different types level fighters, and the lack of a ground game is still a factor. 3 to 4 matches of the same loss. It's just something needs to change. Something needs to change. He needs to figure out something that needs to change, and of course, that's more wrestling. More takedown defense. But is he going to realize this? I see a demotion coming for Mr. Harris. He might get another shot, maybe one more shot. Granted the situation, the trauma that he suffered recently, 2019, I believe, to 2020, between one of those 2 years. It's been unfortunate, and I commend him for being able to come back to feed his family, even after such trauma.
Right.
You know, but I wish him all the luck. I hope he gets what he needs so he can finish his career on a high note. But right now he seems to be stuck, and without that wrestling defense, most most of those dudes in a upper 10, the upper 10 will all defeat him.
Yeah. No, 100%. It's just yeah, it's not good. I was going to say lamb to the slaughter, but refrain from that given the circumstances. But yeah, it's not good. Not good. Now, in the main event of the evening, we had a Georgina Rosenstreit against Augusto Sakai.
Hmm.
And this one, we were kind of talking off air, was it felt like they were in molasses. Now, not to say that they weren't throwing, haymakers and bombs against each other, because there were, but I mean, it was looking pretty much like a forgettable matchup
Hmm.
until the last second before the very first round, where Giorgino catches Augusto and fucking knocks him out and grounds and pounds him, and all she wrote. It's all she wrote.
Yeah, he said he has been particularly been practicing this strike the last 3 weeks, and it came in handy for him. What he I guess from the game tapes, fight tapes of his opponent, Sakai, he was able to realize that the man doesn't like to fight moving backwards, right? So he figured if he pressured him and made him move anywhere but forward, then he will be compromised. And the gamble went through. He was right. He pressures his opponent. The fence restricted his opponent from moving back any further, so he rounded it off to his right. As he was rounding to his right, Sakai, no, actually, Biggie Boy kept pumping those left hooks, those check hooks, and eventually Sakai slowed. Biggie fired the two to the temple or to his ear. The ear was a target. I could, from the way the punch landed, he was looking at the ear, and he figured if I can hit his ear, he would go out. And that was the stunner that led to the ground and pound that finished off Mr. Sakai.
Yep.
Mr. Sakai quickly gave it up to his opponent, and now his opponent is moving on in his career, and he's seeking another top five or anyone higher than him in the division. So more things to come for Biggie Boy.
Yeah, I think it's weird because of Biggie Boy. Now, you could argue that there could be almost Francis Ngannou like a resurgence, but it's crazy because like I almost feel like you know Jorginho puts those fantastic finishes together and what have you, but when he gets to the elite of the elite, he kind of falters a bit. So
Mhm.
I don't know what's going on or what can be improved, or maybe it's just a second look. I don't know, but I'm still on the fence with it.
Yeah, yeah. When it comes to it, man, wrestling is the key, man. Wrestling is the key. If Biggie Boy can get a little wrestling under his belt, you'll see something else. You know, he's a dangerous individual because he doesn't need no any torque to knock people out from a short distance. He just flicks. He flicks his wrist and touches folks, and they're sleeping. You know, he's a very dangerous individual. He has the power to knock out any heavyweight, including the champion himself. So he just needs to find that prime apex Biggie Boy. Once he finds that guy, then he would truly be unstoppable. He
No,
reminds me of a Thanos type character
ooh,
without the rings.
okay. I don't. Yeah, I know MMA. I know pro wrestling. I know that's a Marvel character, right? So right on, 10 points. But speaking of Marvel, you are the ageless Marvel, and for those who want more Voodoo Maximus, where can they find you, good sir? On
Oh man, you can find me on YouTube. You can find me on Facebook page. You can find me on Instagram, Voodoo Maximus, all day. Twitter, don't forget that too.
yeah, man.
Voodoo Maximus.
I'm just saying, I'm according to Woods. You can find me all those places there, whatever. Thank you for joining us. And if you haven't already done so, go ahead and like, share, and subscribe to the Voodoo in the Woods podcast on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. You guys have a powerful, powerful week, and we will see you sometime this week
Hmm.
for a new brand, new Voodoo in the Woods.
Oh.